kemungkinan Suyo juga di early game akan sangat lemah dengan magic damage yang diberikan oleh Onyx.
Oke, Mama. Ini Onyx benar-benar masih di zona merah. Sebenarnya ini udah tidak tahu apa yang harus mereka lakukan, tapi mereka harus all out dan mereka harus satu suara. Apakah Mama lihat draft mereka akan kuat kali ini?
Onyx ya, sama melihat mereka kuat di game pertama.
Oke, mari kita menyaksikan bersama-sama defense yang kedua di game yang pertama. Arena, balas tepuk tangannya. Let's go to the lead. Adam.
Ya untuk early yang seharusnya masih bisa dikontrol. Untuk pattern di 2 menit awal. Tapi kalau melihat dari picture, saatnya nggak ke depan-depan.
Zoning outnya, zoning benar-benar zoning out ya. Dan bisa kita lihat bahkan Baloiski tadi sempat ada di arah rumput. Tapi bisa dikatakan sebentar, tadi ada sempat di arah rumput.
Aboy.
Bahkan Aboy terkena sedikit pressure flicker di awal, tapi Sans. Itu dia, gameplay agresif yang mungkin dirindukan oleh seorang Omawa dan juga sosok Lim ya.
Jelas, Sans. Jadi dia memang mendominasi banget kan untuk di base. Dan apalagi sekarang kita dulu.
Ya makanya kalau lagi perang ini kita tahu ya, dia targetnya bukan ke minion yang lagi lewat, tapi langsung target ke hero untuk skill-skillnya.
Setuju banget. Balik ke pattern farming. Joy, di awal kayaknya akan menghindari team fight sebisa mungkin ya. Dia kan bawa farming dulu, menangin item, menangin level, bahkan juga sering kita lihat di starter diambil.
Oh, tapi kalau bisa kita lihat tanpa adanya kondisi dari tim fight, dengan tanpa rapid flash ini agak cukup merugikan untuk tim Onyx. Jadi concern dari tim Onyx dan juga Joy yang cukup menghindari early team fight ini sinkron ya Om ya?
Ya, dan emblemnya Suyonya bukan pakai Inspire ya, beda ya. Ini yang Thrilling Spree, terus juga dari bukan Pull Yourself Together nih buat Kalea.
Ya, lebih ke mikirin badannya juga.
Dipaksa, tapi satu informasi yang cukup mahal. Kali ini Baloiski, Walase setelah di tangan seorang Baloiski dan flickernya. Pergerakan tiba-tiba, tapi apakah worth it? Karena jujur, ada baiknya pergerakan dengan flicker yang dia miliki ini bisa menjadi salah satu pegangan dia ketika turtle yang pertama. Cuma untung, yang kita bisa lihat di sini adalah kondisi kuat nantinya di level 4 dan plus Suyo akan kuat di early turtle.
Iya, Sansnya akan dikasih bawah karena lebihnya dia menang dari rotasi juga udah di level 4. Sementara di arah gold kayaknya dia bakal adu farming aja dulu sih sementara waktu.
Yes, adu farming. Tapi kalau tiba-tiba kehadiran bisa datang ke bottom point, membantu tim fight dan berhasil melakukan satu momen kill, wah ini bisa menjadi surprise gameplay sih untuk para pasukan dari tim Onyx. Melihat informasi yang didapatkan dari para pasukan tim Onyx, belum ada sedikit informasi dari Aboy. Tapi lihat di sana bakal di pasar dengan refresh track. Para pasukan dari tim Onyx mereka harus mendapatkan satu dan nampaknya tidak. Aboy! Ini berhasil menyelamatkan para pasukan dari tim Kickfam, walaupun mereka harus kehilangan banyak sekali. Dan Kairi tidak dikasih apa-apa terhadap dari Kickfam. Berhasil poin kill. Walaupun harus bertukar dengan diri, tapi Baloiski semaksimal mungkin coba untuk mendapatkan satu buah penyelamatan untuk dirinya.
No,
Baloiski membuang waktu dan akhirnya poin kill tidak untuk siapapun.
Ya, the best thing yang bisa dilakukan oleh Baloiski tadi. Sementara ngelihat dari tim fight yang tadi, Turtle memang didapatkan oleh Onyx, tapi sayangnya kerugiannya juga lumayan.
Oke, 2 berbanding 4, tapi nampaknya di sini seorang Kairi berhasil mendapatkan make it. Pulling up yang dibantu oleh seorang Sas, agresivitas tinggi membuat para pasukan tim Onyx mereka mendapatkan poin kill tambah, tapi Baloiski stand by posisi Averro. Kali ini bukan ditekan, tapi bahkan menunjukkan seorang Sans. Dan bisa dibilang kerugian yang luar biasa banyak. Baloiski, what are you doing, Baloy?
Mereka di kelas seperti itu.
Iya, salah untuk penempatan dari Way of the Dragon tadi. Yang tidak mendapatkan apapun selain daripada Baloy yang harus lebih off juga. Dan kita sering melihat ya, Geekfam waktu mereka sedang terdesak dan Baloiski tumbang banyak di early game. Ini dia, mereka akan cukup shaky dan mereka akan cukup sulit juga untuk bisa ngebalikin lagi kondisi dari tim lawan. Karena sekarang dari Sansnya yang kelihatan cukup bebas bergerak dan di cover juga dengan adanya Kibo. Ini peluang sekarang untuk Geek ada di tangan Aboy.
Betul. Mereka bisa bawa farming juga sih kalau memang mau. Karena kelihatan dari defensif ini covernya kan lumayan.
Oke, tapi Lupi memberikan sedikit angin segar ya untuk gameplay dari Onyx kalau bisa saya lihat ya.
Genius one first item.
Dia bisa kita lihat ini ada pressure tersendiri. Genius one di arah first item ini benar-benar membuat Kairi dia jadi support system lah Sans di sini. Kairi benar-benar fully damage-nya nanti.
Menarik karena biasanya glowing ya buat mid laner.
Iya, makanya itu kayak agak sedikit kaget tadi gue ngeliatnya. Tapi yang ngomongin Regen juga mungkin nanti bisa di item kedua sementara Turtle kembali ke sana.
Informasi telah didapatkan dan bakal itu dia perpasukan dari tim Onyx. Mereka coba untuk menuju ke arah satu buat Turtle dan lihat Ghost gagal mendapatkan tsunami slam tadi, tapi lost the ball damage dan hilang begitu saja. Dua Turtle kali ini dibagi untuk satu sama lain, membuat mereka bisa mendapatkan keunggulan dari para pasukan tim Onyx.
Mereka tuker sama turret di bawah.
Oh, iya. Dan juga make it sini harus hati-hati banget. Ya. Karena dari Onyx infonya mereka akan langsung menuju ke atas juga. Dan set up untuk make it.
Make it, kami tapi lihat itu dia. Kadera, kombinasi menuju ke seorang Sans tidak bisa dihentikan kembali dari first break-nya. Almost is never enough, mencoba menyelamatkan diri mereka. Sampai juga tumbang.
Mampus kau, Nick anjing.
Pakai wabak combat counter. Cops berhasil dengan double stun membuat perpasukan dari tim Kickbomb mendominasi tim fight di arah top lane.
Tidak bergerak tadi. Dengan adanya hitbox yang lebih besar, area yang lebih gampang kena juga. Jadi dahsyat banget sih, dapat banyak banget dari Geek
Ya, itu bagus banget. Karena semua pemain dari Onyx juga sedang menempel ya di satu titik dan semuanya terkena efek dari sisi dari Geek Farm juga.
Ini speed of distraction juga itu mempengaruhi sekali loh, Lim.
Damage-nya lumayan.
Oh, damage-nya lumayan. Wah, iya kita nggak bilang nggak besar.
Tapi kan timing masuk juga gitu loh.
Masuknya pas
Dan
sama
kenanya
Baloy.
ke Parsha.
Iya.
Kenanya ke Sans.
Yang pakai Purify dan gak bisa kabur lagi.
Iya, ketempel ya tadi ya.
Oke, sekarang Geek yang megang kendalinya. Emang sih masih di menit ke-6 juga. Turtle padahal tadi dipegang oleh Onyx loh.
Ya. Ini sudah mulai geser lagi. Bagaimana Cakdera ternyata yang bisa menang gold dibandingkan dengan Savero.
Iya, gila Cadera ya. Karena tadi tim fight secara top lane itu benar-benar mempengaruhi mereka sekali sih. Karena kalau ngomongin Turtle kan harus berbagi satu sama lain.
Ya seandainya nggak kena speed of distraction ya cerita masih beda tadi ya.
Iya, mungkin masih farming kalau bisa aku lihat. Ya.
Tapi kali tadi harus terpick off juga untuk kedua kalinya nih berarti sepanjang permainan. Dan Cakdera punya DHS baru selesai.
Oke.
Lumayan sih sebenarnya.
Ini juga harus agak kalkulasi menuju ke kalau ada Kadera kali ya. Nah, kalau yang saya lihat dari tadi ngomongin karena Kairi ketika dia masuk dan damage-nya maksimal karena dia, waduh, deras banget Lin. Dan gak ada yang bisa following up.
Nah ini Turtle nih, masih mau dikontes kan?
Oh.
Kalau setup agak susah.
Tapi kayaknya mereka akan lepasin karena Turtle ya nggak sih? Kalau mau kontesin nggak baik banget. Kondisinya adalah kalau mereka kontes mereka bisa kehilangan dua pemain. Dan
Faris.
Boy, bakal coba peruntukan semaksimal mungkin. Tapi di arah bottom lane satu turret tambah didapatkan oleh sosok serang Kadera. Distraction, waktu yang banyak coba dimainkan tapi lihat Paleski. Gagal untuk mendapatkan duel Dragon karena Fist Cracks and today untuk lebih. Itu dia imun yang tidak bisa ditendang. Dan membuat perpasukan dari tim Onyx mereka masih kehilangan satu momentum untuk di take down. Tapi sayangnya ketika melakukan push menuju ke arah mid lane, mereka juga tidak bisa terlalu berbuat banyak.
Ya, masih ada Abo ya, Astral Meteor dan juga Astral Sphere ini sangat-sangat cepat untuk bisa meng-clear lane. Dan terbukti dengan satu wave yang langsung cepat tereliminasi tadi oleh Aboy. Dan agak sedikit tempo pelan juga untuk Onyx-nya sendiri. Mereka sempat menang. Tapi dibalikan oleh Geek. Mereka sekarang lagi pedang lagi. Cuma untuk setupnya jangan sampai.
Wih, oh my god! Kyrie! Lagi-lagi bersinar, tim selalu besar dan itu dia. Satu gameplay dari seorang Kyrie membuat Aboy. Bahkan dia tahu udah pasrah, dia nggak bisa kabur kemana-mana, dia nggak pakai flicker, Liv.
Iya, itu damage yang sangat-sangat eksplosif om.
Yes, itu dia Rhythm of Joy ya. Belum dengan Electrifying Beats tadi padahal.
Dia Swan, jangan lupakan itu. Tapi tsunami slam dikeluarkan. Apakah Guardian berhasil mendapatkan sosok circle. Following up damage mau dekat belakang, tapi tampaknya Ghost. Sedikit full defensive, mencoba untuk menghilangkan damage yang diberikan, tapi Paleski sedikit terlambat melakukan cover ke arah bottom lane. Bahkan coba ditangkap, Paleski mencoba melakukan distraction agar jungle mereka tidak tumbang di depan mata. Sedangkan Paleski semaksimal mungkin coba untuk melakukan outlay. Dan Kadera, terus yang bisa dilakukan adalah farming.
Ya. Tapi ini kita tahu, ini selalu dilakukan juga oleh Geek. Cakdera akan dibiarkan untuk farming saja kalau memang mereka sedang dalam kondisi terdesak atau lagi butuh waktu untuk bisa
Lihat tadi
manjakan
bloknya. Apakah ada body block kali ini? Nampaknya tidak bisa. Dan satu turret di arah tengah sudah harus dihancurkan oleh perpasukan dari tim Onyx. Gold langsung berbanding terbalik dengan 2.500 gold tadi menyentuh. Untuk Onyx.
Masih dipisahin ya, Kaderanya masih farming dulu. Pokoknya Trinity dulu di tangan, tapi luar langsung di setup.
Oh, dia mau sakit di depan sana. Mikey, stand by opposition. Apakah tsunami slam? Mencoba berhasil mendapatkan satu poin kill atas Lupia. Menaruhkan dia mendapatkan satu poin kill saja pada circle. Following up Sarah Kyrie. Terlalu sakitnya bisa diberikan tanpa ada sedikit pengurangan. Sayangnya speed of distraction tidak menancap ke siapapun.
Oh, safe.
Oh, kalau misalnya satu Speed of Distraction tadi nyangkut aja ke Savero. Minimal bisa diobrak-abrik dan Suns dapat. The best thing yang bisa dilakukan adalah save untuk Purple dirinya.
Oke. Sekarang Lord diamankan oleh Onyx juga. Gold masih di Onyx. Tapi untuk defensif harusnya Geek Fam kuat kan Om?
Ya defense mereka sangat-sangat kuat ya. Ya masih ada Novaria juga. Novaria akan distract untuk mainin lane yang berbeda dengan Lordnya. Jadi ini nafas masih agak panjang juga untuk Geek. Kecuali ini ada pemain mereka yang langsung terpick up di depan dari base mereka yang bisa jadi juga ditabrak langsung oleh Keyboy. Tapi so far ya ini tanpa EOG. Oke, sudah ready untuk EOG bagi Keyboy. Jadi kita harus menunggu gebrakan dari Onyx. Setelah Lord di bagian atas hanya akan diantarkan begitu saja. Masih ada juga untuk shield turret di bagian top.
Jadi nggak masalah. Sedangkan Baloiski bakal coba untuk menggocek seorang Kairi. Mencoba lakuin distraction saja di depan sana. Tapi lihat harta dan Sonata terlalu sakit untuk serang Aboy. Wadi block from Lord P. Tapi Sans menyangkut begitu saja.
Oh my God, si bawah.
Untungnya tidak ada yang terlalu jauh dari Sans. Kalau tadi terlalu jauh sedikit aja. Itu Sans bisa di following up oleh Kadera loh.
Wow, ini penguasaan map yang begitu baik dari Geek Fam. How to defense yang sempurna, bisa dibilang mereka nggak kehilangan apapun.
Ya berarti ini metode defensif dari Geek yang mereka bawakan dari season ke season ya.
Gue lebih suka dari delay rotasinya sih. Baloiski itu nggak buat para pasukan dari tim Onyx itu nggak bisa menyambar ke Ramesh karena dia arah bottom lane. Main sungai, Baloi udah kasih mata di sana. Udah kasih dirinya, pakai informasinya cukup mahal.
Wah itu di bagian topnya malah Kadera ditemenin loh. Kalau sampai kena tsunami slam.
Oh tapi jangan lupakan kali ini Kadera one by one situation dengan seorang Sans. Memilih untuk mundur ke arah belakang. One last hit. Bisa saja ditumbangkan begitu saja. Tapi nampaknya para pasukan dari tim Onyx gagal untuk mendapatkan poin kill atas seorang Kadera. Baloiski mencoba untuk memberikan sedikit informasi vision terhadap seorang jungle mereka. Mekis harus melepaskan ke arah Purple Buff ya. Karena itu terlalu sulit untuk bisa mendekat. Mekis, tapi nampaknya Mekis belum dekat tapi hilang dengan David Slam. Baloiski Kairi tershutdown. Poin kill cukup mal Kadera harus mundur ke arah belakang. Dewi tidak bisa dibendung tapi harta dan Sonata digocek begitu saja. Satu tembakan terakhir yang bisa memecahkan dirinya karena skemisunya aktif.
Ya, tapi pertukaran 1 banding 2. Ini kurang baik sebenarnya untuk Geek Fam.
Ya tapi at least mereka dapetin Kairi ya yang punya bounty cukup besar juga. Meskipun jatuh ke tangan si Kalea tadi. Atau si Gobs.
Oh, it's okay.
Ya bisa
Oke, tapi nampaknya di depan sana Baloiski termakan dengan sangat instan oleh seorang Severo. Beatnya ada di tangan dari Sans. Ketika Purify masih available, dia nggak bakal takut untuk mendekatan dengan seorang Baloiski. Biar bottom lane terlalu sakit yang bisa diberikan. Tapi sekalipun Kadera masuk itu nggak bisa lebih dalam. Tapi Kadera!
Mantap Kadera. Mampus kau Onyx babi.
Shotgun pun
Mati
terjadi.
aja kau Onyx anjing.
Gila, extreme decision yang diberikan oleh para pasukan dari tim Geek Fam membuahkan hasil.
Impostor
Ketika
tuh.
divide mereka berada dalam kondisi penuh 5-3.
Itu dia.
Extreme decision itu.
Berani. Dan itu mendapatkan hasil yang positif banget. Sekarang Lord langsung di setup. Oh, ini kalah jumlah.
Ya berani terkalkulasi speed of history yang memang meng-cancel tadi untuk Savero juga. Yang langsung terdorong mundur ke belakang 5 ini. Setup untuk
Jelas lah.
Masalahnya Kibui dimakan aja
Betul
juga
lah,
bisa.
Balo.
Dan lihat di depan sana Revit last waktu yang cukup banyak. Tapi Kyrie mencoba usahakan sosok Kadera. Tapi lebih baik bisa dan bisa di double kill. Looking for
Mampus kau babi.
berhasil menutup jalan dari seorang Kyrie. Wow, electrifying beats yang benar-benar harus direspek oleh seorang Kadera. Karena tidak ada memiliki flicker membuat para pasukan dari tim Geek Fam harus kehilangan seorang Kadera. Dan Turtle ini masih coba untuk didistract oleh seorang Baloi. Mereka memilih untuk tidak berhasil mendapatkan
Oh my God,
Lord yang benar-benar tidak bisa didapatkan lagi oleh para pasukan dari tim Geek Fam akhirnya memilih untuk mundur. Lutfi lagi dan lagi menurut gue dia adalah warna baru untuk Onyx yang sedang berada di zona merah. Lord save untuk Onyx.
Oke. Ini dia ya Lord P.
Apaan?
Untuk Onyx dan kalian, wow, ini ada Villa di X.
Streamer.
Halo.
Model biasanya ada di arena tapi kali ini harus dari rumah dulu ya.
Benar, kalian bisa kunjungi juga untuk channel official di stream MPL ID.
Wow, Lord yang didapatkan tanpa ada kedua jungle. Tapi Lutfi dari tadi dia nge-deny-nya bagus banget loh, Lim. Jujur. Dia nge-deny gimana caranya para pasukan dari tim Geek Fam itu bisa maksimal. Itu didapetin oleh Lutfi, Om. Gak chat, oke, gak ada yang lihat.
Gak apa-apa.
Gak ada yang lihat.
Saya ngeliat.
Ya, tapi satu sih, aku kira tadi ya, dari start juga dia akan membeli glowing one untuk item yang kedua.
Full damage ya.
Tapi sejauh ini nggak ada glowing one sama sekali. Full damage lagi cruncher bersama dengan Blackwing.
Oh, latih Tracer yang baru sangat-sangat mantap loh.
Mantap banget karena
Kita lihat di depan sana, Torkan dia berhasil dihindari. Monster belakang tuh yang striker. Satu poin kill didapatkan tapi Kyrie udah mulai menunjukkan batang hidungnya. Kadera agak cukup scare. Spiral Distraction hampir saja mendapatkan seorang Luffy. Dengan Lord kali ini, para pasukan dari tim Onyx, mereka mendapatkan 2 turret ini mahal loh.
Iya, 4.000 gold juga langsung kebobolannya om.
ya lagi sih mungkin juga. Cuma tadi kita melihat adanya sistem kerjasama untuk Gikam. Ditarik ke belakang tsunami slam, ditusuk lagi dengan spare of misery. Jadi Kibonya harus tumbang. Terlalu dalam, dibawa ke dalam base milik dari Gikfam. Dan Cadera, full item Rose Gold.
Finally, udah punya Rose Gold Meteor.
Tinggal jual sepatu ya. Kalau mau dijual.
Jujur itu satu kali Victor Estrek trigger itu.
Iya.
Rose Gold.
Langsung nyala, absorptif.
Ini damage-nya.
Tuh Divine Glaive.
Buset.
Apa itu
Oh,
glowing
glowing
one?
nggak perlu glowing. Kita
Iya.
langsung full damage aja.
Langsung Holy Crystal, bro.
Glowingnya ada dari Kiboy, ada. Masih ada anti-regen dari Kiboy. On the way juga tuh kita bisa lihat barangnya Lutfi kan. On the way juga ke arah glowing. Gue rasa udah cukup.
Holy gak sih?
Tapi gue ngeliat dari Kyrie-nya juga dia genius juga bikinnya.
Iya.
Jadi kayak, ya mungkin tadi niatnya ada genius di Suns, berarti gak usah lagi. Tapi mungkin karena Joy juga yang tipikal jalan sendiri kan.
Ya, jadi dasar untuk mandiri ya.
Itu satu kali loh.
Itu satu kali aja. Terlalu sakit burst yang diberikan oleh sosok seorang Suns. Tapi yang harus mulai diperhatikan adalah satu. Tapi ketika nanti mereka dalam mode ofensif, itu malah bebas untuk seorang Kadera.
Ya.
Memberikan spacing strike ke belakang.
Dan jangan lupa nih Cadera loh yang main. Kayak Moskovnya dia juga kadang dia berani buat ninggalin temen-temennya. Untuk fight kan dia percaya 4 temannya ini bakal bisa nahan yang selama mungkin gitu loh.
Iya.
Karena dia extreme decision-nya gila sih.
Dia kadang ekstrimnya buat masuk, kadang ekstrimnya buat split push
Buat
dia.
split push. Nah yang serem ini kalau sampai split push. Karena ini kan powernya Moskov juga yang sudah selesai aja.
Iya, itu cepet banget sih mau ngerontokin base. Lord selanjutnya ada di bawah. Dan kabar baiknya atas base turret yang bagian Gikam sudah hancur kan. Jadi Onyx dia nggak terlalu pusing nih dengan kepemimpinan yang akan terus membantu mereka.
Ya, Farlane-nya mereka nggak harus worry. Tapi lihat para pasukan dari tim Onyx, mereka udah mulai coba untuk mendapatkan Lord mereka yang ketiga. Kali ini fokus ke arah belakang. Sans, damage terlalu sakit, informasi telah diberikan. Ini menandakan para pasukan dari tim Gikam mereka bisa antisipasi terhadap seorang Sans. Tapi Sans sudah diberikan pulang. Karena Revitalize ada baiknya langsung digunakan supaya setidaknya mereka tetap bisa mengantisipasi untuk menuju ke arah Lord.
Yang ketiga, Kyrie udah ngebuka Electrifying Beach-nya.
Oh, Luffy! Nampaknya gagal, 2 flicker sudah harus keluar. Mundur ke arah belakang. Dan itu dia duel dengan poin. Berhasil mendapatkan 1 poin kill untuk Gimai. Tapi nampaknya menerapkan dan more defensif. Bola Ginter take down. Kali ini, apakah berani keluar? Tapi oh my god, Kadera! Winter Clan! Betul-betul melakukan dirinya tidak bisa terlalu lama. Dia bisa terlalu
Mantap Kadera.
Still survive! Tembakan bagi dari damage yang diberikan oleh seorang Kyrie.
Mampus.
Kill from my boy.
Kadera
Membuat Kadera
dilawan.
kali ini masih bertahan. What a play from Kadera.
Ini 2-2, tapi ya kondisi yang gak memungkinkan untuk Gikfam melanjutkan Lordnya dan kembali reset.
Oke, tapi riset di mana Lord ini bisa kepegang sekarang karena mereka bisa Cadera.
Ya, ada Kadera. Oh, saat sekali ini dia mencari karena Aboy. Tadi di rumput bakal coba dicek dan terdeteksi begitu saja.
Ya mereka kelihatan juga. Tapi hati-hati Aboy ini bisa banget ketangkep nih. Kali ini ketangkep betul expect jadi bisa cukup.
Ya, dengan Caderanya.
Nggak cukup lagi sih, hilang kali.
Harusnya 2 kali tetes.
Satu, Kadera. Informasi telah dapatkan absorb damage yang menyala. Roscoe Meteor membuat para pasukan dari tim Onyx. Mereka coba bertip satu ball Lord kembali. Mereka tidak mau menang kendor. Karena pelanggan apakah Retribution from Make memilih untuk mundur para pasukan dari tim Gikam. Mereka harus kill serba Aloyski. Saat tidaknya at least the best team yang dilakukan adalah 1 point kill atas Pak Aloyski.
Manis 1 ya.
Tapi menyadari memang ya, gak ada retribution dicepetin langsung juga untuk Gik. Dan mereka berhasil untuk menahan dan so far Cadera dengan decision yang dibuat dengan dia. Timing masuknya sangat berani. Ini eksekusi dia luar biasa.
Ini benar-benar Kadera lagi fearless. Dia nggak takut apapun di depan sana. Informasi tadi dapatkan. Tembakan perpasukan dari tim Onyx. Mereka sudah ke belakang. Damage yang nyangkut di depan sana. Spiral Distraction. Membuat Kadera loncat atau tidak. Tapi nampaknya tidak.
Itu dia nggak selalu harus masuk dari Spirit Destruction yang Onyx. Dan sekarang bisa pelan-pelan udah.
Oke, Lordnya udah mulai bisa ditemukan oleh perpasukan dari tim Gipam. Dan itu dia Luffy. Berhasil dengan touch. Dia gak expect dengan ini Kadera untuk Bagi dari belakang, sedangkan Kadera di depan sana. Udah mulai terperangkap, bermasukkan. Oh my God. Kita sudah melakukan table kill.
Keren.
Point from Megis.
Mampus kau Onyx babi.
Tapi what the play from Megis. Itu dia. Masuk dari seorang Paloeski. Berhasil mendapatkan Maniac. Membuat tampar pasukan dari Simone. Dan ini pencara.
Lurus bisa langsung dilakukan dari Geek Fam dan gak ada lagi yang bisa defense.
Wah, what a play, what a team fight dari Geek Fam yang berhasil mendapatkan series ini. Tapi cantik banget flanking yang dilakukan oleh Megis. Nge-game, diam, dan akhirnya berhasil mendapatkan sans karena gak expect. Ada Megis di sebelah sana.
Mampus kau Onyx.
Wah, gini, decision demi decision, bahkan sampai terbawa ke late game seperti tadi. Eksekusi mereka support, dan mereka berhasil untuk mengunci Onyx juga dengan Maniac ya. Yang kembali bisa dimunculkan juga dengan perform dari Aboy untuk Novaria dia dan Cadera.
Ya, memanfaatkan kesempatan. Di saat semua mata menuju Cadera, Megis menggunakan kesempatan tersebut untuk mengambil celah. Triple kill Maniac bahkan tadi untuk closingannya.
Iya, tapi ini dia, ini adalah momen untuk Megis. Di belakang dia nyambut semuanya 3 orang di satu titik yang sama. Kena Soul Silver.
Ya, dan dia killing spree juga.
Iya, jadi dia aktif ya langsung ya.
Itu dia. Bahkan kalau seandainya tadi Kairi masih survive, kayaknya Lordnya masih banyak juga darahnya, Om.
Evolve Lord.
Default Lord 1 lawan 4 tetap bukan hal yang baik.
Wah, lebih nice untuk Cadera. Ini luar biasa banget loh Cadera sekarang. Aku ngeliatnya dia di minggu pertama. Ya, shaky goyang gitu.
Ya, tapi dia sempat kan untuk gak bermain gitu kan. Karena ada player baru juga dari Geek waktu itu yang baru masuk dan sempat gak main dari Cadera, tapi
Wah, gila decision makingnya.
Masalahnya dia
Agak cukup ekstrim,
dia
jujur.
dia beneran spare of destruction tadi.
Iya.
Keluarnya di detik terakhir. Dan waktu keluar, dia dapet gitu loh.
Ya makanya, tapi itu decision making yang bener-bener 1:5, 1:10 hampir jarang dilakukan.
Ya.
Ekstrim sekali.
berani banget.
Dan satu suara, gue yakin kalau dia nggak komunikasi sama Paloy, dia nggak berani seperti itu.
Iya.
Gue yakin banget. Karena itu ngebuat seorang gold laner berani maju, pasti dengan support dari 4 kawannya.
Ya, dibebaskan mungkin ya.
Dibebaskan, masuk aja.
Gue liat penguasaan map dari Geek Fam tadi memang gila banget sih.
Parah
sebenarnya.
sih, yang dia deny rotasi di atas, dia muncul golfsnya. Ya kan gak kelihatan apa-apa, muncul ke bawah, tiba-tiba di tengah jalan udah ada balon.
Itu dia, Baloy suruh pegang rivernya loh.
Lihat ini momen yang luar biasa tuh. Cadera juga ngedot semuanya loh dia. Kabur gak tumbang lagi.
Iya.
Sempet pinter kan.
Dia sih mainin abis walknya bagus banget ya ketika ada Dead Sonata. Dan di
sempat
sini
winter
nih,
dia.
tuh, Sans gak expect sama sekali.
Dia sempat winter tuh. Makanya selamat lagi dan Win of Nation udah ke bait dari Savero. Ya udah, ini menandakan kalau misalkan make it ya free banget.
Free banget dan free banget, damage-nya gede banget, lihat tuh. Full damage make it.
Iya,
Tapi
iya,
langsung saja tanpa berlama-lama ini dia. Kita bakal menyaksikan MVP of the game. The Young Generation. Ini dia anak dari Baloyski, make it.
Wow, ini dia. Kelihatannya dengan build itemnya sebenarnya normal-normal aja, Om.
Iya.
Gak ada yang terlalu spesifik aneh gitu kan.
Benar. Tapi secara kita bisa bilang team fight-nya Geek setelah 4 tahun sudah sangat-sangat mobile sekali. Kita bicara team fight ya. Dan juga kekuatan dari Novaria nih dengan item Lightning Truncheon yang ada adjustment. Kelihatan sebuah Astral Spear kalau sampai kena ke pemain-pemain yang berkumpul. Wah itu harus recall dulu sih kalau gak ada hero-hero healer.
Ini berjalan dari Lightning Truncheon juga terlalu dahsyat.
Dahsyat
menurutku.
banget yang baru ini. Makanya Novaria sampai masuk gitu masuk tim.
Bener-bener, bukan cuma dari Nova sih. Kayak Sanse juga tadi sekali Peter Strike. Cadera.
Percaya langsung ya.
Kepurut
Aktif,
langsung.
aktif.
Makanya.
Wah, oke, lagi Rajan ya. Bisa jadi pilihan-pilihan buat teman-teman semuanya kalau memang sedang menggunakan main mid laner. Apalagi yang punya burst damage yang besar buat dia di game.
Ya. Tapi berarti secara gak langsung glowing ini bisa jadi di-skip ya, mau gak mau ya.
Betul.
Dari saat tadi, memang sih dampaknya juga beda banget. Sebenarnya semuanya udah sesuai dengan apa yang Alex mau sampai Gede Star bilang padahal.
Cuman ya, ini dia tim fight yang tiba-tiba muncul nih kaderannya. Sempat buat Twitter juga nungguin ya kan. Terus ternyata dia selamat tuh. Habis walk.
Ada backup yang bagus juga tadi gitu kan. Dari Globsnya, dari Aboynya.
Ini juga Abo itu jadi PR ya. Kayak dia selalu di belakang dan damage ini berasa banget sangat-sangat besar sekali kena. Untuk sekelas yang tebel-tebel juga buat Turkey Boy-nya kena 3 kotak loh yang hilang.
Iya, nggak ada solid armor juga sih yang gue pantau sih.
Ya, nggak ada sama sekali.
Belum ada solid armor. Salah satu yang bisa ngebadanin tuh
Lihat tuh
pas
defense-nya.
banget sih.
2, 3. Aku dapat semua langsung.
Gimana? Lifesteal-nya langsung buset jadi lifestyle.
Killing spree.
Itu bukan lifestyle lagi, lifestyle.
Jadi gaya hidup bener Ji, jadi gaya hidup memang.
Dari kayak hidup langsung dan itu dia.
Tembak langsung ya.
Item yang membuat seorang Maikis terlalu sakit. Full damage.
Make
Full
it.
damage.
Ya. Itu Windtalker cuma buat pukul base ya teman-teman ya. Yang
Buat
terakhir
endgame tadi ya.
Betul, buat endgame-nya. Jangan ketipu ya di sana ya. Tapi Cadera juga udah jual beli juga sih kalau buat Caderanya ya. Melvin Guard tadi. Tuh dia juga. Sepatu yang dijual tuh Cadera. Ya, so far dari gignya nih akhirnya mereka bisa dapetin kemenangan di game yang pertama. Padahal biasanya mereka ini lagi coding dulu di game pertama.
Biasanya.
Sekarang mereka sudah dapetin momentum kemenangan di game yang pertama.
Biasanya tunggu kita bilang Aboy lagi underperform.
Nah itu aktif dia. Ini Abu udah kayak kembali ke setelannya dia.
Pantesan tadi sebelum main udah gue bilang soalnya Om.
Oh ya udah bilang
Lagi
duluan ya.
turun. Tapi yang kelihatan sih memang gamenya juga bukan game yang mudah ya
Betul,
kawan-kawan. Karena
panjang
19 menit nih, hampir 20 menit dari game yang pertama. Jadi keduanya juga sangat-sangat berusaha. Cuman kalau misalkan di spotlight dikit, ya gue mau kredit ke Kyrie sih.
Kyrie ya.
Jadi
ya.
kayak dia konsisten sekali loh di game ini.
So far,
Asli.
di season ini apalagi kelihatan banget gitu.
Bener sih.
Entah yang lainnya lagi turun jadi kita melihat Kyrie-nya yang konsisten.
Atau memang ke arah sana spotlightnya Om.
Iya benar.
Bisa jadi kan?
Dan bahkan kalau gue bisa lihat ya Kai.
Lu biasanya duduk di sini. Nah, dah. Biasanya kalau tahu cari ya. Apa? banyak muka-muka. Enggak bakalan gua ambil untuk Yelan lagi. Karakter yang lama dulu gue ambil. Sebulan 10.
今度は誰が騒風が立つ。
Enggak, katanya. Tolol. Ya. Dua. Jadi.
あまり遠くまで足を伸ばさずに済むといいの。
マジックスタート。ここよ。
さあ、婦人観来です。ようやくは口に。
ちょっと失礼。お受け取りください。いくよ。
薬も毒になり得ます。命の重みを知りなさい。
行くぞ。こちらに治療しないと。
nguli dulu. Nguli enggak ya? Nguli enggak? Nguli enggak? Nguli.
ようやくは口に逃がし
Oh, stop. Susah banget. Kayak terus ini aja.
あまり遠くまで足を伸ばさずに済むといいのですが
Ini aja oke deh.
治療しないと。
止める勇気はあるか飛ぶか
Bukan GTR ya.
加速するぞ
Mampus kau.
ようやくは口に逃がし
吹き飛べ。
Banyak amat dalamnya. Sama, malas gua explore kayak ini.
治療しないとな。
Tapi nggak apa lah, demi karakter yang lama.
ようやくは口に逃がし
Masuk lebih dalam lagi. Oke. Oi, nggak ada ujungnya nih.
吹き飛べ。
Lah, ini mokat nih mah. Bodo amat tukar. Hah?
治療しないとな。
すぐに治してあげましょう。
次大火山殺し。ドーン。行くよ。
変わろう。
ヒーロー決断。
Oke.
ようやくは口に。
時間が。
Rambut sih.
薬も毒になる。
時間が。いたたた。
ようやくは口に逃がし。
私。急がなきゃ。ヒーロー決断。
頭上位薬も毒になります。
行くよ。超必殺ハンマー。ドーン。
ようやくは口に逃がし。防衛。
Ntar GP mulai nih. Buruan tuh. Demi apa? Demi kemuliaan. Nguli. 10. Satu lagi. Oh, jancuk emang. Mati aja kau nonton.
World Cup on the 19th from Augusto Fernandez and Solskjaer Chandra, completing the grid Lorenzo Savadori and Alex Rins. And as you saw there, at this stage, every rider in the field, medium front, medium rear Michelins.
Yeah, that felt like it was always going to be the preferred pick. Thousands upon thousands of motorcycles in the bike parks here in Jerez. They've been making some noise in downtown Jerez. Trust us, the party never really stops from Thursday through Sunday here in this beautiful part of Andalusia. Famous for sherry, famous for flamenco dancing, famous for equestrian. Well, it's horsepower of a different kind that really matters right now, though, as we continue our countdown towards the 25-lap Spanish Grand Prix. Marco Bezzecchi, his last MotoGP podium was right here in Jerez 1 year ago. That feels like a far too long a wait for a rider of Marco's calibre, as Valentino Rossi makes his way to what is now a very, very busy grid here in Jerez. You might just see off into the distance there on the outside of turn 1, the bright red dedicated We Are 93 grandstands. Well, Jerez awash with MotoGP legends. There is one of the best to ever do it. 8-time MotoGP world champion Giacomo Agostini. Valentino Rossi's here, Dani Pedrosa's here, Andrea Dovizioso's here. Good old Legends race, actually, couldn't we, at some point this weekend, as Pecco Bagnaia, well, he's just settling on some shade inside the factory Ducati garage. Can he finally step out of the shadow of the Marquez brothers? Because he has very much been cast in the supporting role so far in 2025. Lewis, there's been all this talk of late. Oh, Qatar is Pecco Bagnaia's track. It wasn't. Jerez is Pecco Bagnaia's track. It remains to be seen if that's the case. He's got it all on. There's a lot of focus and attention on what Pecco can deliver in this Grand Prix.
A big afternoon coming up for Bagnaia, and I guess what we'll be looking out for Pecco Bagnaia is what he can deliver on the first lap. Remember here last year, he was 7th on the grid. The true to lead at the end of the first lap. Bagnaia, so often at his best, is electric on that opening lap, particularly in the Sunday Grand Prix. Remember, he starts from the outside of that front row. Can he get his nose ahead of Marc Marquez on the run down to that first corner and give his teammates something to think about?
And can you remember, flashback to the 2024 Spanish Grand Prix, where on that opening lap, Pecco Bagnaia going from 7th to 1st, and his move was just astonishing, wasn't it? The double overtake around the outside of both Jorge Martin and Marco Bezzecchi into turn 6. Not just probably the pass of the season, but probably a contender for pass of the decade, wasn't it? The crowd, once again, make some noise. You can feel the noise. As we mentioned, it's a track that just makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Well, I'm delighted to welcome to MotoGP. We've seen him inside the Marc Marquez factory Ducati garage. Superstar Carlos Alcaraz joins Jack.
Yeah, it does indeed. Great to have Carlos down here on the grid with us. Now, for those that don't know, Carlos's motto is Cabeza Corazón. Perfectly sums up MotoGP too. What have you made of the experience so far?
Well, it's a unique experience for me, for my friends, for my brother. Came with me the motor to watch market for the... It's gonna be great. So yeah, I mean, since the early morning, I've been here, walking around, see what it is, and I think it's unbelievable and a great experience. So I'm super excited to see the race.
Well, it's great to have you here. Hopefully, we can have you back in the future as well. Enjoy the race.
For sure, I'll be back. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, great to hear Carlos Alcaraz enjoying the atmosphere, and great to hear he plans to be back. Once you've been bitten by the MotoGP bug, well, that's it. You are committed for life. 4-time Grand Slam winner. We've seen him here supporting Marc Marquez. So yeah, wonderful to see a real, genuine Spanish sporting superstar enjoying one of the great Spanish sporting events on the calendar. There is the very distinctive, the flying saucer, the Jerez UFO. It's been labelled. Well, so far this year, there's been plenty of out-of-this-world appearances so far for the number 93, who comes then to second place on the grid. First time on a Sunday this season that number 93 is not firing away from pole position. Brother Alex, can he finally find himself on the top step of the podium this season. Yesterday's sprint second, rather astonishingly, was his 8th second place of the season so far. We thought the 6 in Qatar meant we could drop the Mr. Second tag, but I think he is now once again Mr. P2, isn't he?
He is at the moment, and he's second in the World Championship too, 20 points behind his brother. Of course, Alex Marquez did lead the World Championship briefly after Austin. If Marc Marquez is going to slip up again, then he could well take it back. But Alex Marquez, I guess his thoughts now will be on just getting himself through the first lap and just consolidating his position at the front of the field. We're going to pause very, very shortly for a minute's silence in memory of Pope Francis, who sadly passed away very recently, of course, brought sadness across the world. We will pause for a minute's silence.
Ini kan kita mulai.
Menangkan match kali ini, kita udah mulai bisa keluarin teori Brazil kita lagi, Om.
Bisa ya?
Bisa. Yang menang, yang
Kenapa selalu sama kamu teori-teori begitu keluar? Pasti kalah itu kalahnya di second pick.
Jauh ya?
Iya.
Jauh nih. Ini jangan bisa diterusin dulu.
Korelasinya. Kan kita harus mengeluarkan segala teori. Ini lagi seru soalnya.
Stop, jangan diterusin. Udah stop sampai sini aja. Kita mendingan ngelihat nanti draftnya.
Ada banyak.
Udah stop sampai sini aja.
Udah bersama dengan Buffett.
Bodoh amat.
Down on the grid, Jack Appleyard has got Pramac Yamaha star Jack Miller with him.
Yeah, I do indeed. After what has, without any spoilers, been a pretty special day for Australian motorsports. You've got a victory to your name around this place as well. You must be feeling some pretty good energy ahead of this one, Jack.
Yeah, feeling good energy. As good as you can do after yesterday's result, but we try and put that behind us. Made a decent change this morning. Just trying to feel that front end a little bit more. Bike's working well. Rider needs to be better, but we're getting there. Looking forward to a decent one around here. Hopefully we can pull our finger out and hold up our end.
Have a good one.
Cheers, Zach.
Yeah, thanks to Jack. And Jack, have a good one, the Australian. We're going to take another pause here now in the commentary box as we're ready for what I'm sure is always a spectacular rendition of the national anthem of Spain. Up next now in Jerez.
is a spectacular sight, it is a spectacular sound. The Spanish Grand Prix, there is very little that matches this. Well, Fabio Quartararo goes from pole position. What can he do from pole? Paolo Professio from Yamaha joins Jack.
Paolo, a true roller coaster weekend so far for Yamaha. The highest of highs, the lowest of lows. What has Fabio learned from yesterday that he can put into action today?
I think first of all yesterday was an important day because we keep proving that the performance are coming back and that we have a fantastic rider. Mistakes can happen, or let's say it's very also thin the line between being hero and finally ended up with the 0 point. Today I just wish Fabio to enjoy, offer to us a great race and get the maximum result we can.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Paolo Professio. Well, imagine having that particular vantage point above Jerez. Quite spectacular, although if you are slightly weak in the stomach, it might well have you a little bit uncomfortable. There's Carlos Alcaraz there, just behind the throng of cameramen and photographers. Looks on. That is one Spanish sporting superstar glancing at another. 4 Grand Slam titles for Carlos Alcaraz, a back-to-back Wimbledon champion, looking at the 6 times MotoGP world champion. 2 giants of Spanish sports as one watches another who now sets to go from the front row of the grid.
Yeah, has Marc Marquez got another ace up his sleeve here in Jerez. Big expectations for both Marc and Pecco Bagnaia in this upcoming Spanish Grand Prix. What are the thoughts of the boss, Davide Tardozzi, who joins Jack?
Davide, special atmosphere, sold out crowds, all waiting to see the number 93 put on a performance. Can he deliver?
Yeah, I'm sure that Marc has something on top of the talent here in this racetrack. We know from the data that turn on the left like 4, 7 and 8 is really fast, but we see if Fabio will not do any mistake, sure will be very tough to beat, while I'm sure that Pecco wants his revenge and Alex is there. So it will be a tough race because with the medium back tire and the long race, it will be another race from yesterday.
Good luck, Davide.
Thank you.
Yeah, different race compared to the sprint yesterday with Ducati hoping it won't be a different outcome as the aerial display team have put on another great show here in Jerez, who will be flying the highest though at the end of our 25-lap Grand Prix of Spain. A bird's eye view, an incredible, amazing view of the Circuito de Jerez, Angel Nieto. Pretty good day for flying, isn't it? Maverick Vinales, well, he's the top gun himself, isn't he? 6th place on the grid goes Vinales, as he mentioned. He was the best of the rest outside of the dominant Ducati top 6 yesterday. Of course, can he once again get himself in that fight? He was the shock leader for 5 laps, wasn't he, a couple of weeks ago under the lights of the sail over in Doha before the post-race tyre pressure penalty came his way and dropped him from 2nd down to 14th place. But there are clear evidence signs that Vinales is definitely finding that KTM C16 more to his liking. Valentino Rossi, well, he's been here, done it and got the t-shirt, hasn't he, at Jerez. Fermin Aldeguer then, the rookie sensation. Oh, what a story he's had so far in 2025. A brilliant weekend over in Qatar, 4th in the sprint, 5th in the Grand Prix. He backed it up with an excellent 5th place yesterday in the sprint here in Jerez. And there are, well, it's like the good old days of Valentino Rossi, isn't it? The Yellow Army, this time around, supporting Fermin Aldeguer, the 20-year-old Spaniard, and one of the rising stars in the MotoGP World Championship. Surely that first podium not too far away for our Moto2 winner here last year.
I believe our own Jack Appleyard termed those fans the Fermaniacs, and they are certainly becoming a more visible presence around the MotoGP calendar. Winner of the Moto2 race here last year was Fermin Aldeguer. Can he move forward from the 3rd row of the grid? He'll certainly have his sights set on Maverick Vinales on the KTM, who starts on the back of row 2. So Marc Marquez, will he face a tougher challenge, a stiffer test than he had yesterday in the sprint? 5 sprint wins out of 5, but of course, his 100% qualifying record was broken by Maverick Vinales, by Fabio Quartararo, excuse me, in qualifying yesterday. Quartararo from pole position certainly got his elbows out at the start yesterday up against Marc Marquez, making it perfectly clear that he's not going to give this lead up without an almighty fight.
Are we destined for another Marquez versus Marquez showdown? 93 versus 73. Or can Pecco Bagnaia upset the form book, upset the home crowd as well, if he can manage a fourth consecutive MotoGP success here at the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto, a track which he has made his own over the last 3 years. Alex Crivier and Valentino Rossi, previously winners of 3 successive MotoGP races here in Jerez. And no rider since we came in nearly 4 decades ago has won 4 on the spin. That's what lies ahead potentially for Pecco Bagnaia. He goes away from the front row of the grid for just the second time this season. Second on the grid. Marc Marquez looking for his first win in Jerez in 6 years. And Fabio Quartararo, well, he's looking for his first podium in 2 years. The Frenchman flying away from pole position here in sunny Spain. Jerez is one of MotoGP's greatest racetracks. It's one of MotoGP's most iconic racetracks, and it has been the scene of some of our greatest and most iconic battles in Grand Prix history. Let's hope we are set for more tension and drama. 25 laps, your 2025 Grand Prix of Spain. Coming up next live here at the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto. Fabio Quartararo on the factory Yamaha. What a surprise that was in qualifying yesterday, where he delivered one of the laps of his life. A new all-time lap record to deny Marc Marquez a 5th consecutive pole position so far this season. Started second in the sprint yesterday, did Marquez, and having eased through on Fabio Quartararo on lap 2 in the sprint yesterday. It was Marc Marquez who extended his lead to 20 points in the World Championship. It's Carlos Alcaraz there, the tennis superstar in Spain right now. 4 times Grand Slam winner, gets the very special experience of being right at the front of the grid to see if his own hero, Marc Marquez, can capture his 4th MotoGP success here in Jerez. Already sitting pretty at the top of the World Championship. 20 points he is clear of Alex Marquez. Mr. P2 back in P2 once again yesterday in that sprint. 9 races so far this season. Alex Marquez has been runner-up in 8 of them. The field then power down to turn 6. This was on the first lap, this very corner on the first lap last year, where Pecco Bagnaia just went ballistic around the outside of both Bezzecchi and Martin with a sensational double overtake, which really was the platform for his most recent success. Ducati undefeated here since 2020. Our last non-Ducati winner was our pole sitter here this afternoon, Fabio Quartararo. Is Pecco Bagnaia's stranglehold on the Spanish Grand Prix about to come to an end? Carmelo Espeleta, Dawn Sports Singer. I've never seen a race like this. It's truly special to welcome 224,000 fans and experience this historic atmosphere. Thank you. Indeed, we thank you one and all from the bottom of our hearts for making the 2025 edition of the Spanish Grand Prix. I feel like one of the most magical events we've ever experienced. There's always something special about the Spanish Grand Prix here in Jerez. It is a unique Grand Prix, a unique setting. Now we are all set for what we hope for. There's going to be another thrilling 25-lap battle. Marc Marquez, your world champion leader, comes to the front of the grid. 5 years on from one of the toughest days of his Grand Prix career. Look, he was just struggling there maybe to engage the whole shot device, wasn't he, Mark? It looks like it's all A-OK. Fabio Quartararo then comes to the front of the grid. First pole position in 63 Grand Prix for the French sprinters. Arrowing that bike to the right. Green flag is clear in the back. Lights out, racing in MotoGP here in the Grand Prix of Spain. Not a clean getaway at all by Marc Marquez, was it? He's going backwards into fourth place. Was that whole shot device engaged for the number 93? Aggressive he is on the inside now of Alex Quartararo, though it is. They've got the whole shot. Bagnaia trying to get aggressive on the inside of turn 2. Quartararo leads. Bagnaia second. It was not the perfect launch for Marquez.
And not a good start either for one of those VR46 Ducatis. That is Frankie Morbidelli dropping backwards. Maverick Vinales is still there in the top 6 in fifth place. Marc Marquez goes straight through on Pecco Bagnaia, is he? He's trying to go around the outside into turn 5. That'd be brave.
Oh, red on red. How close was that coming through the high-speed left-hander of turn 4? Quartararo then leads the Grand Prix for the first time since the Sachsenring all the way back in 2022. He's at the corner where he crashed out the sprint yesterday, coming from a long, long way back is Alex Marquez. Oh, on the needle. Alex Marquez will have his heart in his mouth there because he was so close to contact with Marc and also Pecco Bagnaia. That's dropped the 73 back down to, well, outside of the top 5.
Oh, Marc Marquez straight at the inside of Bagnaia into turn 7. That is a brave, brave move. Bagnaia then drops behind his teammate, but he wants it straight back again.
Oh, listen to the crowd. They are on their feet. They're already crying themselves hoarse. Through turn 10 we go. Bagnaia and Marc Marquez leading each other. We saw this in the Grand Prix later. There's contact. What a first lap this has been here in Jerez. Drama to the extreme. Fabio Quartararo clearing off at the front of his Grand Prix. Bagnaia and Marquez have had, 4 or 5 aggressive overtakes on this first lap alone. A first lap for the ages here in the Spanish Grand Prix, which will be led by Fabio Quartararo. And Bagnaia looking for his 4th successive win here in Spain. He is still somehow in second place after what an incredible first lap.
Well, that was a bold move from Marc Marquez into turn 7 on his teammate Bagnaia. Pecco Bagnaia said, I am not having a piece of that. Take that. And he went straight back through as they once again made contact through that stadium section for the 2nd year in a row. And like last year, it's Bagnaia who came out ahead.
It's Bagnaia. Attack mode, isn't it? Marco Bezzecchi. There's going to be no repeat of his podium here last year when he was on the Ducati. Bez has crashed out early on the factory Aprilia. Wow, that was an incredible first lap, wasn't it? We almost felt like we had an entire 25 laps of drama in that opening circuit around this 4.4 kilometre of our track. Quartararo at the moment, free of all the drama, free of all the chaos that's unfolding behind him. There he is in the factory Yamaha now, out of 6. Bagnaia there in second place. It's all just sort of calming down a little bit now, settling down with Marc Marquez on board with now in 3rd.
Of course, easy to forget after all of the excitement between the two factory Ducati riders, how close were the pair of them from being taken out by Alex Marquez on that first lap, who threaded the needle between Bagnaia and Marquez as he completely outbraked himself into turn 6. He's managed to regroup and he's now right behind the red pair in 4th place.
Yeah, Sherman Aldeguer has been sensational as well at the start of this Grand Prix. He's in 5th place. Maverick Vinales, he's picking a fight with a bunch of Ducatis once again. It's not been a great start at all for Frankie Morbidelli. A poor start. He started 4th. He's back down in 11th place. Through turn 13 we go. To complete lap 2 of 25. It's already been a Spanish Grand Prix that's taken our breath away. Quartararo it is that leads. Bagnaia now fastest rider on the circuit with a 1:37.422. There were 4 or 5 hard moves and 2 or 3 times there was contact, wasn't there, between Bagnaia and Marquez. The crowd are on their feet outside our main grandstand here. I'm not quite sure they can see what they've seen so far.
This is MotoGP with a capital M, isn't it? Bagnaia was not going to give that one up with our almighty fight, because there was not a lot of room now on the left-hand side, you have to say, but it was on the edge, but it was just about okay. I'm sure if you were in that factory Ducati box, you were watching that with a sort of gap in your fingers and just hoping that the pair of them were going to get through the corner unscathed. They just about managed it.
Well, it was pass or be pass, wasn't it, on that opening lap? As Alex Marquez just fancies a nibble at Marc on the inside into turn 6. He's not going to be close enough. So hard to outbrake Mark, isn't it, on that long run down into that sixth corner. We're on board now with the 93 through turn 7. This is where Bagnaia had a pretty heavy crash yesterday morning. Well, he said he had to be aggressive. Oh no, Marc Marquez has crashed! Marc Marquez has crashed out of third place here in the Spanish Grand Prix. It is a second big mistake for Marc in 3 Grand Prix. He was 2.5 seconds clear when he crashed out of the lead in Austin about a month ago, and he has dropped the ball big time once again here. You could hear the moans, you could hear the groans from the Spanish fans in Barcelona and in Madrid. They cannot believe what they've just seen through turn 8. Marc Marquez goes, tries to pick up on his elbow, but he craves into the gravel trap in a cloud of dust. And now this has completely changed the game in terms of the Spanish Grand Prix and the World Championship. Can you believe it?
Well, it's not often I'm speechless, but I cannot believe what I've just seen. We've said it already this season. It felt like the only rider that could beat Marc Marquez was Marc Marquez himself. And another unforced error from the 93, who is still running. He's getting a massive cheer from the fans as he now comes across the finish line. But Marc Marquez is now 20 seconds behind in 22nd place. And surely he's blown any hope of fans standing on the podium in front of his home crowd today.
Yeah, he's pretty fortunate just about to be back in this Grand Prix because his bike went a long way into that gravel trap. Unbelievable. Alex Marquez, as we just try and process what we've seen in the first 3.5 laps here in what is already a mesmerising, a memorable Spanish Grand Prix. Alex Marquez in the last lap, fastest rider on circuit by some distance, a 1:37.378 for Alex. That was pretty much 4 tenths faster than Quartararo. Into 8 we go, where Marc Marquez on the last lap blew it here in Jerez.
Well, Quartararo and Bagnaia, of course, were both ahead of that. Will they potentially get a pit board here to inform them that the 93 is out? They will have known something happened because they will have heard the big cheer from the grandstands and from the hillsides around that stadium section. But Quartararo leads then by around about a quarter of a second from Pecco Bagnaia, who, of course, took full advantage the last time Marc Marquez left an open goal. Can he do the same again?
Here comes Alex. He's going to be aggressive on the inside of Bagnaia into turn 13. That's lovely. That is a beautiful textbook move by Alex on the brakes into that final corner. The crowd are on their feet now, and this would see a tie going to Le Mans in terms of the championship. Could, of course, get better for Alex Marquez. Is he going to ever have a better chance of breaking his victory dug in the MotoGP World Championship?
What a place to do it as well.
What a place
to... the Spanish Grand Prix. Antonio Quartararo then leads then by around 4 tenths of a second. And Alex Marquez, of course, he won't want to sit behind Bagnaia and Quartararo for too long and let his front tyre cook and the front tyre pressure go through the roof. So that's why he was so keen to get through on Pecco Bagnaia. Surely he's not going to sit behind Quartararo for too long if he can help it.
The shock, the surprise, we're still stunned, we're still shocked in the commentary box here. Marc Marquez has crashed a couple laps ago at turn 8. It has left the door wide open now. Opportunity knocks for Fabio Quartararo, winless in MotoGP since the sanction ring in 2022. It opens the door potentially for Alex to win his first ever MotoGP race and potentially seize the lead back in the World Championship. It opens the door potentially for Pecco Bagnaia to win his 4th race in a row here in Jerez. What a race we have on.
Does it potentially open the door for a podium visit for the first time for Fermin Aldeguer, who's in 4th place now, having got past Maverick Vinales in those early stages. Aldeguer himself is only a second and a half off the race lead. So much focus is on what's going on at the front, and our leading 3 who remain. But don't keep an eye on Fermin Aldeguer. Don't rule him out of this yet.
Further down, Vinales 5th, Gian Antonio 6th, Mir 7th, Miller 8th, Morbidelli has just passed Brad Binder for 9th, having had a poor first lap on the VR46 Ducati. Top 10 completed by Brad Binder. Points for Acosta, Aguirre, Zarco, Marini and Bastianini. At the front of this captivating Spanish Grand Prix, it is still Quartararo that leads. Fermin Aldeguer has just set his fastest lap of this Grand Prix, a 1:37.531. The only rider ahead of him faster is his teammate Alex Marquez.
Now to the top 4, 1.3 seconds from Quartararo back to Fermin Aldeguer, who's broken way clear now of Maverick Vinales. Gian Antonio is 6th on the first of the VR46 Ducatis ahead of Mir and Miller. Jack Miller's gone through from 14th up into 8th place. And I mentioned Morbidelli, who had a disastrous first lap. He's still trying to recover from that. Morbidelli 9th ahead of Brad Binder.
In recovery mode is Marc Marquez, still 22nd. He did a 1:38 flat on that last lap. It was vastly quicker than Miller, Morbidelli, Binder, Acosta, Zarco. He's fastened a whole bunch of riders ahead of him. That is Marc Marquez, but he's way down. Oh, no, Fabio Aldeguer's crashed out of podium contention. Well, we saw Marc Marquez crash out of victory contention in COTA. We saw Fabio Aldeguer crash out of top 5 contention in COTA as well. They've both done the same here in Jerez. Aldeguer then goes down at turn 6 mid-corner. So that will now push Maverick Vinales up into 4th place. And this, you feel now, is a battle between these three for the podium with Aldeguer out.
Already something of a race of attrition, this isn't it? Marco Bezzecchi down at the start of the second lap. He's still running at the back of the field. In fact, he's in a battle with Marc Marquez at the moment for 22nd place. But we have this trio at the front of the field now. Alex Marquez closing quickly on the back of Fabio Quartararo, of course. Alex Marquez, you feel, is on the stronger package right about now, but he's never won a MotoGP race. Fabio Quartararo has won plenty of them.
Yeah, there's still Quartararo that leads. We're through onto lap 7 of 25. Fabio Aldeguer has been able to rejoin the Grand Prix, just like Marc. But both of them will be ruining their big mistakes in the early part of this race. A Grand Prix that's now still being led by Quartararo. Alex Marquez there in 2nd place. Nothing really between your top 3. Quartararo 137.8, Alex at 137.7, Bagnaia the slower of that top 3, not by much, at 137.9. As you mentioned, Aldeguer's blunder has put Vinales up into 4th place. Fair play to Vinales, he is still doing pace in the high 137s. Our new feature for MotoGP fans to get involved in Vote for your rider of the race. Vote.motogp.com, or use the QR code on the bottom right hand corner of your screens, and we will have the results immediately afterwards. So who is your rider of the race so far? Fabio Quartararo certainly a leading contender, likewise Alex Marquez.
Fabio Quartararo is riding at such a high level right about now. Just he's making 0 mistakes, and that's what Alex Marquez will be thinking right up behind Quartararo. A mistake is what he's after, because Quartararo, not an easy rider to overtake. Of course, Marc Marquez struck so early, didn't allow Quartararo to settle in any kind of rhythm up at the front. And you do kind of pose the question for Pecco Bagnaia in 3rd place. Is he in that kind of window again, that kind of zone where he's getting a little bit of hot air on that front tyre, and he's struggling to pierce that 0.6 of a second gap between himself and the front two?
No wonder there's tense faces, apprehensive faces inside the factory Yamaha garage. They've not been anywhere near this position since the middle point of 2022, when all their sort of problems started. Type of contenders to mid-pack mediocrity, weren't they, really, over the last couple of years? The Iwata factory. You're not going to find anybody currently residing on planet Earth that's going to get more out of a factory Yamaha than Fabio Quartararo. He is wringing the neck once again of that YZR M1. Picking a fight with the dominant Ducatis, picking a fight with Alex and Pecco Bagnaia. He was leading, of course, Marc Marquez. This, once again, just shows the pure class and quality of Quartararo.
Pecco Bagnaia, as Quartararo takes a bit more of a V-line into that corner. I'm not sure that was intentional. He did go slightly hot, but of course, not the same damage as the mistake he made 24 hours ago in the sprint. But Pecco Bagnaia looked absolutely on the limit into turn 1 at the start of this lap. And Bagnaia potentially maybe just cooling his front tyre down, and might come back for a second attack later on in this race. Alex Marquez, as you can see, can follow that battle for the lead in the top left corner of your screens. We're now watching the battle for 7th as Morbidelli tries to continue his recovery from that poor start.
And he'll be kicking himself once again. He'll be seething. He'll be raging, Marc Marquez, because his last lap was a 137.8, which is race-winning pace. I'm sure this one, COTA was a tough one to take in front of his home crowd here in Jerez, where he was such a big pre-race favourite. This will be a real bitter pill to swallow for the number 93. Further back, Joan Mir on course for a rare top 6. He's been a strong weekend so far for the factory Honda rider. He's currently 1.3 seconds back of the Gian Antonio. Pretty heated battle further down the field. You can just see moving out your picture there is Morbidelli and Binder as we pick up Pedro Acosta in a rather frustrating 10th place, which really doesn't cut it, does it, for the hugely ambitious 20-year-old?
Particularly given that a KTM is up the road in 4th place at the moment in the form of Maverick Vinales, who is also doing a race-leading pace. He's 2.3 seconds off the lead and some 4 seconds clear of Pedro Acosta and Brad Binder, the next of the KTM, just keeping an eye from what Marc Marquez is up to at the back of the field in 20th place, doing low 38. He should still claw himself up into the points from there, maybe 1 or 2 points, which may grow, of course, if riders drop out. So in terms of the World Championship, and his lead in the World Championship is now under some serious threat, Marc Marquez could still salvage some points from this.
Well, he was super apologetic to his Ducati team in Austin. He said it was my mistake. He denied it was overconfidence on that occasion in Austin, but this is going to be one of clearly the major talking points of this Spanish Grand Prix. As he flicked it left into turn 8 at the Jorge Martinez Aspar corner. Third gear through there. They cannot believe it, can they? Inside the Ducati Lenovo team garage. They're just as shell-shocked as what we are. How the heck is Marc Marquez doing low 138s with a motorcycle that's as damaged as that?
He's a very talented rider. He is exceptional, but as we've seen this afternoon, once again, he is human, and Marc Marquez has made a human error this afternoon, and it certainly cost him the Spanish Grand Prix. Has it cost him the World Championship lead? The answer will be yes, if Alex Marquez can overhaul Fabio Quartararo. But as I said a couple of laps ago, Quartararo is riding this Yamaha beautifully. He is not offering Alex Marquez anything at this stage.
Indonesia 2023 as Marquez picks his way through on Somcat Chantra. The Lombok Grand Prix in 23 was the last time Quartararo was on the podium. As he mentioned, pre-commentary, although he did briefly lead the sprint yesterday, this is the first time he's led a main Grand Prix since the Saxon Ring in 2022 when he moved over 90 points clear of Bagnaia at that stage of the season. We thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to successfully retain the championship, and of course he just fell apart in the second half of the campaign, eventually lost that season to Bagnaia. Talking about the Italian, just not really making any kind of significant inroads, is he, towards Quartararo and Alex Marquez? Is Bagnaia, is this a ploy where he's just content, just happy to sit off those two ahead of him, just to maybe protect the front tyre pressure and front tyre temperature on that Michelin front, or is he, under the cosh, is this as fast as he can go?
Well, he said yesterday, didn't he, that he couldn't get within that sort of half second, 7/10 of a second of Alex Marquez through the entire sprint. She couldn't go anywhere, just had to ride around in third place, was under no threat from behind, and she isn't in this particular Grand Prix, but not able to make any inroads up ahead. But we still have a long way to go. We are not at half distance in what has already been an extraordinary Spanish Grand Prix as we watch the two factory KTMs in their battle for 9th place. Quattararo's lead did come down on that lap, and the lead is now gone. Alex Marquez strikes at the start of lap 11.
Alex Marquez decides this is his time. He hits the front here in Jerez, right in front of the Marquez grandstands. Is Alex Marquez then now on course for his first ever MotoGP victory. Of course, decisive in the championship, that move as well, because it does now mean that he leads going to the French Grand Prix in Le Mans in 2 weeks' time. Fabio Quartararo, he'll get a hero's reception in Le Mans anyway, but it will get an even bigger one if he is to somehow fire back and win this Havet battle. Straight away though, Alex Marquez has gapped the factory Yamaha star. On the brakes we go into turn 6. Get immediately through the first half of this lap 11 of 25. Alex Marquez has found nearly 4/10 of a second on Quartararo.
Followed Fabio for long enough. Now is the time to attack, and Alex Marquez attacked ruthlessly, definitively into turn 1, parted up the inside, and Fabio Quartararo had no choice at that stage but to give it up from there. He was unable to tip it in. You can hear under our voices the huge roar from the grandstand as Alex Marquez's lead is already up to half a second. Quartararo's Yamaha is moving around. He really is trying hard to try and keep up with Alex Marquez, but at the moment it looks as if he's unable to do so.
Yeah, what have you got, Bagnaia? This is going to be potentially another Grand Prix where Marc Marquez is out of contention and Bagnaia's flat out just to beat Alex here. Got to find a way through, hasn't he, quickly on the Yamaha rider if he's any hopes of hunting down the 73. Over the line we go then. This was a lap that Alex Marquez hit the front and straight away he's got an advantage of pretty much 3/4 of a second. Quartararo then back into second place. Bagnaia a couple of tenths further back in third place. Vinales, fair play to Vinales, 137.955. That is brilliant mid-range pace, isn't it, from the Spanish rider. Once again, by far head and shoulders above any other KTM rider out on circuit here in Jerez.
That was a damaging 11th lap for Quartararo, including obviously the loss of the lead in 138.8. A second slower, near enough, than the riders who are going fastest at the moment on circuit. We've got Alex Marquez, Maverick Vinales, and Frankie Morbidelli still lapping in the 137s, as actually is Marc Marquez on that battered and broken Ducati in 19th place. He did a 137.9 last time around. He must be absolutely cursing under that crash alley right now, because he would have been here somewhere as it is, but right on board with his teammate Pecco Bagnaia, who needs to get second place away from Fabio Quartararo quickly if he wants a fourth consecutive Spanish Grand Prix win.
Yeah, Mark is the fastest rider on circuit, quite amazingly. It makes it hard to fathom, doesn't it, as well, that he crashed in turn 8, one of his beloved left-handers, where he really does have the upper hand on the opposition. Was it maybe just a little bit of overconfidence that crept in? Well, we'll find out in the post-mortem after the Grand Prix, where Marc Marquez is going to have some explaining to do once again, isn't he? After he blows yet another huge haul of points. Of course, we won't really know just whether he could have won this Spanish Grand Prix. He was certainly a favourite for it, but you do feel that there's at least sort of 16 to 20 points that slipped through his fingers on this occasion. As we're right on board with Bagnaia, just starting to edge out the front of this Grand Prix right now is Alex Marquez. You know what, Bagnaia's going to have to get on with this. He's going to have to find a way through on Quartararo pretty sharpish, because Alex is over a second clear now, the Italian.
Yeah, big couple of laps there for Alex Marquez. What we're going to see, top left of your screen, is the battle between Ayagura and Jack Miller. That is for a top 10 position, and it's now the rookie who has taken that one. His fellow rookie, Solkjaer Chantra, has pulled into the pits, so his Spanish Grand Prix looks as if it is over. Just right on board, Quartararo getting a good run down through turn number 5. Bagnaia in no position to make any overtakes, and that's been one of Bagnaia's big problems, hasn't it? In 2025, as he really closes up mid-corner, just getting overtakes done. He just cannot get away through on Fabio Quartararo, and you can see Alex Marquez in a potential Grand Prix victory disappearing off into the distance.
Only 4 riders in the 37s right now. Alex, your race leader, Gian Antonio, who's got some good pace in 5th spot. And you're going to go all the way down to Marc Marquez and Marco Bezzecchi, 19th and 20th respectively. Once again, that's 2 laps in a row now that Marc has set the fastest time on that lap, so he's clearly the fastest rider out there. Problem is, he was on the deck, wasn't he, early on at turn 8, and completely shot himself in the foot, wrecked his hopes of victory here in Spain, as Quartararo is putting up such a resolute rearguard action here to hold on to this second place. Still splitting the Ducatis of Alex and Bagnaia.
Marc Marquez is a second a lap quicker than the riders immediately ahead of him, so in about 3 laps time he'll catch Augusto Fernandez, who's a second behind Aleix Espargaro. It's going to take him 7 or 8 laps to get up to the point. It's Ralph Fernandez currently holding that final points position in 15.
This carries on, you know. Vinales is not out of this podium battle. Vinales on that last lap was 2/10 quicker than Bagnaia. Low 1:38 from the KTM rider. He is sensing a bit of payback here, a bit of Qatar revenge, having been bumped off the podium for the tyre pressure infringement last time out when he was second of the checkered flag. He really is starting to close in on Bagnaia and Quartararo ahead of him. Do not discount Top Gun for a place on the podium here.
Also got Fabio Di Gianantonio in 5th place, lapping in the 1:37s. He was quicker than everyone ahead of him. There's Digia just in the top of the picture. He's got a 2.7 to make up, which is to go on terms with Vinales. And Vinales has suddenly got eyes forwards rather than backwards himself. As we watch Bagnaia once again, Quartararo is matching Alex Marquez part way through this lap, doing his level best to try and keep that Cressini Ducati in sight and keep some pressure on Alex Marquez. The thoughts must be going through his head that he has never won a MotoGP Grand Prix, and that today might well be the best opportunity he ever gets. Quartararo and Bagnaia need to just keep the pressure on.
Well, he's been Mr. P2 8 times so far in 2025. Is he finally going to be at Mr. P1 once again? Who's your rider of the race? Well, at the moment, I think it's between 2. Alex Marquez, potentially your race leader, and Fabio Quartararo still performing heroics in Jerez on that factory Yamaha. There is Vinales. He is right in contention right now, isn't he, for this podium. Into the second half of this Grand Prix, something's happening here for the 43 Yamaha of Jack Miller, who looks really frustrated. It looks like there's a technical issue that's going to rule Fuller Miller out of this Spanish Grand Prix.
He was running in 11th place, so points disappeared for Jack Miller. Fabio Quartararo matched Alex Marquez in the high 1:37 last time round. The one rider who struggled and suffered on that lap was Bagnaia, who did a 38.2. His advantage over Vinales now for that final podium position is down to 0.6 of a second.
Fair play to Vinales. He's 5 seconds up the road compared to the next KTM. That's in the hands of Brad Binder. Speaking of Binder, we pick him up right now. This is the battle that he's engaging with. Tranmere is involved, so is Frankie Morbidelli. Mia on a factory Honda has only ever had one previous top 6 in a Grand Prix. That was a 5th place in India a couple of years back, so this is by far... Oh, no! Well, there we go. The commentator curse well and truly does strike there, doesn't it? As Tranmere bites the dust mid-corner through turn 6. How many times have we seen the 27-year-old Spaniard blow golden opportunities of big point-scoring finishes? That is now going to be Mir's 9th DNF in the last 11 Grand Prix.
I wonder whether he was just sucking in there by Frankie Morbidelli, who outbraked himself into turn 6. Mir then followed him in, and then once he got onto the dirty tarmac on the outside, he lost the front. Alex Marquez looks like he's stretching this one out now. 1.5 is the lead through the third sector over Fabio Quartararo, who's not exactly under intense pressure from Bagnaia himself. Let's track them across the line. Lap 15 and 25 completed. Alex Marquez dropped his pace to a 1:37.7 on that last lap, half a second quicker than Quartararo, and that lead is now 1.6.
This looks like it could be game over, doesn't it? Alex Marquez beautifully controlling this race at the front. Further back down the field, we pick up Mark, who's just trying to recover the lost ground after the early crash at turn 8, which I still think has left the whole of the Circuito de Haratanga on the Eto in shock. People just still trying to work out what they saw unfold before their eyes. Augusto Fernandez is about to get picked off very, very quickly. This will leave Mark about 4 seconds further back of HRC wildcard Aleix Spargaro.
As we now watch the battle for what is now 16th place, and it wasn't a very long battle, was it, as Marc Marquez goes through into turn 5, which gets a polite round of applause from the fans in the grandstand underneath us. Of course, with Jack Miller dropping out of contention, that moved him 1 place closer to the point. Of course, he'd have to get all the way up to 10th place if he wanted to retain his World Championship lead. Next rider for Marc Marquez to try and catch a pass is Aleix Espargaro, who is 4 seconds up the road.
What right now is going through the mind of Alex Marquez? Never victorious in the MotoGP World Championship. You have to go all the way back to Brno in 2019, the year he captured the Moto2 title for his last victory. His heart rate, somebody else has gone down. I can hear somebody falling off in our headsets. There's been another crash further down the field. It's clearly none of our top 4 as we track Bagnaia. It's Frankie Morbidelli, who's been through the mill this weekend. As Frank, that's a shame because he was looking like he was going to rescue a double top 6 after his nightmare spill at turn 4 yesterday morning. 4th in the sprint, he was 6th on the road in that Grand Prix, but sadly he's now off the road.
Turn 11, the Crivier corner, that will be a fast old crash for Frankie Morbidelli. As Marc Marquez, of course, with that crash of Frankie Morbidelli, moves into the World Championship points, which now moves him to within 4 of Alex Marquez. Of course, we hope that Frankie Morbidelli is okay for what must have been quite a fast crash at turn 11, after having a fast crash already yesterday in free practice 2 at turn 4. A bruising weekend for Frankie Morbidelli.
It's 200 kilometres an hour tipping now through that Crivier corner. So yeah, a real rapid get-off. With a very damaged Ducati, Marc Marquez's damage limitation exercise continues here, finally back then in the point scoring places. Quartararo, you have to say, looks like he's got Bagnaia covered off here, doesn't it? 8.5 laps remaining, and Fabio Quartararo's first podium in 2 years is there for the taking. And there's his crew chief Diego Gabellini. There is Mario Vinales. It's kind of just hold station right now, isn't it? That gap around 3 to 4 tenths of a second between Quartararo and Bagnaia, and likewise the gap between Bagnaia and Vinales is sort of hovering around that 7 to 8 tenths as well. So nobody really is making any sort of significant strides to position changes behind Alex.
For Alex Marquez, this is a test of his concentration and a test of his ability to handle the butterflies and whatever demons there are in his mind, having finished 2nd place in a MotoGP Grand Prix on 6 previous occasions. The last of those came in Austin, as we see the battle between Bastianini and Marini, a pair of Italians swapping 9th place. Marini's not giving that one up without an almighty fight. Once again, we are seeing the Sunday salvage job in progress for the Beast.
Yeah, this one looks like it's over. Alex Marquez now, almost 2 seconds he is ahead of Quartararo. What a moment. There's been so many great moments, hasn't there, for the Marquez family down the years. But to have the pair of them now, MotoGP winners potentially, this will be mixed emotions, of course, with Mark crashing out of contention very early on at turn 8. But Alex is going to cash in big time here, isn't he? He's over 2 seconds now clear. That was expected ahead of Quattararo. Quattararo still gamely defending that second. Just under 6/10 he is clear of Bagnaia. What about Bastianini? He's trying to line up a move on Marini into turn 6. This is where Marini's factory Honda teammate Joan Mir crashed out of contention. The beast just runs in that little bit too hot. So this is going to now be a third time of asking if the beast can get back through into the top 10. We've seen retirements from Chantra and Miller. What's the update on those pair, Jack?
Electrical problem for Jack Miller has forced him to retire out of this one. Team just trying to diagnose exactly what it is as we speak. And unfortunately, arm pump for Somkiat Chantra has forced him to.
Yeah, thanks very much for that update there, Jack. Through the final corner goes Alex Marquez. Here is Maverick Vinales. Do you know what? He really is fancying him. Top of the podium here, isn't he? The Top Gun. He powers the KTM out that final corner. What's that gap between Bagnaia and Vinales? I was going to say it looks like it's closer. It is, because Vinales is still keeping himself in those high 137s. 137.932. Vinales just over half a second now behind Bagnaia.
Yeah, Tom Bagnaia is well aware of the threat from behind him, but I guess he's only got eyes on Fabio Quattararo at the moment and saving himself for a late attack on the Frenchman and taking that second place, because it would be a first podium in a full-length Grand Prix for Fabio Quattararo for quite some time. You have to all the way go back to Indonesia in 2023 for the last time El Diablo stood on a Grand Prix podium, and he's riding so well. Of course, his qualifying lap yesterday was one of the best that I think any of us have ever seen, one of the best of his life. He is super strong around this Jerez circuit historically. But when this Grand Prix weekend began, did he in his heart of hearts believe he'd be in this position with 6 or so laps to go in second place and holding off the two-time MotoGP world champion Pecco Bagnaia?
Guess who's just done his fastest lap of this Grand Prix so far? It is the 93 in 15th place, a 137.544, which is pace at the moment, which is miles ahead of your race leader Alex, way ahead of Vinales in 4th place, clear of Quattararo and Bagnaia. Aleix Espargaro's going to have some serious trouble brewing very quickly. Let's just have a look at perhaps how far Marc Marquez will be able to recover. 14th certainly from Aleix Espargaro if he carries on this kind of pace. 13th not out of the equation either, ahead of Ralph Fernandez at 137.5 and a damaged Ducati. He's just brilliant.
Yeah, I think he'll get Alex Rins as well at the current pace that he's going. He'll probably run out of time to catch Johan Zarco, but don't put anything beyond Marc Marquez and his powers of recovery as Quattararo continues to maintain that half a second lead. They all did 138.2s, those 3 riders that are battling for second, third and fourth. Here we are on board with Marc Marquez. Up ahead of us is Aleix Espargaro on the Honda, then it's Raul Fernandez. So this is a 3-way battle for 13th place, and given that's the current situation, Marc Marquez could do it these points.
Yeah, we sensed very quickly that this was going to be all over as far as Aleix Espargaro and Ralph Fernandez were concerned. He'll make light work of his fellow Spaniard surely directly ahead of him. Some crucial information and data being gathered by Aleix Espargaro on that very development RC213V. Yeah, this will just be, he'll pick up the drive grip now, only Mark on the exit of turn 5. Maybe close enough to attack. Aleix Espargaro's trying to find a way through on Ralph Fernandez into 6th. He has made it through on entry. He's going to run wide though, is he surely? Marc Marquez almost into the back of Ralph Fernandez. Jack just informing us that Fermin Aldeguer, after his crash out of podium contention at turn 6 earlier on, the Spaniard has called it a day. He has just pitted.
Best form of defence's attack then, I guess, for Aleix Espargaro as Ralph Fernandez goes wide there through the very same corner that Marc Marquez crashed out at earlier on. Marc Marquez through then into 14th place. So the bike that Aleix Espargaro had between himself and the 93 lasted all of 2 corners.
This will be an immensely popular victory if Alex can get the job done here. An immensely popular podium as well for Fabio Quattararo, who really has had his back against the wall on underperforming Yamaha YZR-M1 over the last couple of years. Right at the end of what's felt like a very dark tunnel for the Iwata factory. Clearly has developed here this weekend in Spain. I don't think anybody would have thought coming into this Grand Prix weekend that Quattararo would be on pole and taking 2nd place in the Grand Prix. Can he take any more points back? Marc Marquez. Carlos Alcaraz then, the tennis sensation. Unfortunately, his hero, the rider who he came to watch, produced some magic here in Jerez. Well, it all went wrong, did it, very early on for Marc Marquez when he crashed out at turn 8.
Yeah, these moments that he's spending behind Aleix Espargaro could potentially cost him a point later on. Aleix Espargaro is 1.8 seconds back from Alex Rins, and of course the second lap that Marc Marquez was taking out of those in front of him was halted as he almost ran into the back of Ralph Fernandez on the previous lap. Aleix Espargaro going in a little bit hot, a gap opens up and then very quickly closes in Marc Marquez's face. He's potentially going to catch Alex Rins from here if he does get past Aleix quickly, which is looking likely. And Johan Zarco a further 3.5 seconds up the road. This might be the extent of Marquez's progress. This and one more position.
Those gaps once again stable between Quartararo, Bagnaia and Viñales. There was the picture-in-picture vision on the left-hand side. You can see Alex Marquez powering his Gresini Ducati out of the final corner. Fabio Quartararo still comfortably holding on to that second place. There's been no sort of real sustained attack coming from Bagnaia at all. On that last lap, Bagnaia, to his credit, was about a tenth faster than Quartararo. Marquez then does finally get through on Aleix Espargaro, albeit briefly, in that final corner. Two very experienced, wise old heads here battling it out towards the bottom end of the point scoring places. He's having another dip now on Aleix into the first corner. Is this one going to work out for Marc? He'll just make sure he's got the inside line going into 2. So that is up into P13 for Marc Marquez, and more very important World Championship points being salvaged here by the 93.
Well, I think Aleix Espargaro on his return to action this weekend as a wildcard, it's hard to pass. Thought he'd be battling with Marc Marquez at any stage this weekend, but that's what we saw for a lap or so, and he's only didn't let that go easily. But I guess given that he's on a bit of an experimental Honda, the leading thought in his mind would be, I better make sure I bring this RC213V back in one piece rather than running into the World Championship leader.
Is there still life in this battle for second place? Quartararo, as he comes into turns 9 and 10. He's on the exit of 10 on that unbelievable first lap, just about right here where there was the big contact between Bagnaia and Marc. This is the race pace then of Alex, and it has been a pace that deserves a Grand Prix victory here in Jerez. It has been utterly brilliant. Sort of high 137s, a smattering of low 138s. Avoiding all the drama. There was a lot of drama for Alex early on when he almost went crewing into the two factory Ducatis at the end of the back straight on lap 1, and then taking advantage of Marc crashing just directly ahead of him. It has not been without its scary moments, but he's on course for one of the biggest moments of his Grand Prix career, Alex Marquez. He's a Moto3 world champion, he's a Moto2 world champion, but surely this will rank right up there as one of his best ever days. It's just something that extra special when you can say that you are a winner in the top class, a winner in the MotoGP World Championship, and that is what Alex Marquez is honing in on right now here in Jerez.
You see, they had the best pre-season of his life in MotoGP. Of course, started this season better than he ever has in MotoGP, and of course he said the experience he gained from leading Marc Marquez for so long in Thailand and in Argentina was invaluable for him. He will now feel comfortable at the front of a MotoGP race. Of course, he's never led a MotoGP race by as much as this. Every time he's had P1 next to his name so far in Grand Prix this year, he's had Marc Marquez right on his rear tyre. He does not have that problem this time. He's just got 2.5 laps left to not hang on, but just to keep this all under control. And the name of Mr. P2 will finally be banished to history.
What a place to do in front of a capacity sellout crowd here in the Spanish Grand Prix. Alex could have watched this very race when he was knee-high to a grasshopper, when he was in his formative years, dreaming of being in this position. He's about to be a father of 2 MotoGP race winners, isn't he? Julio Marquez inside the Gresini Ducati garage. 2 laps left, not even 10 kilometres remaining then for Alex Marquez to take one of the biggest wins of his career. 2.6 seconds he is clear of Quartararo, who is still not giving a sniff, is he, to Bagnaia in the battle for second.
Viñales might just have lost any hope of getting on the podium now. He lost a couple of tenths on that last lap to Bagnaia, well, with time ticking away and laps ticking away. Only a lap and a half to go. Viñales needs something special or a slip up from ahead of him if he's to climb up onto the podium. Marc Marquez is still trying to chase down Alex Rins. There is now just under a second between them in the battle for 12th place.
This has been superb, hasn't it, by Quartararo, splitting those two dominant Ducatis at the front of this Grand Prix. He led into what, about lap 11 when Alex Marquez got through at the first corner. And from that point onwards, you'd never really felt like he's been in any serious doubt. What's going through the mind right now of Pecco Bagnaia? Pre-season, we all thought, well, how does he solve a problem like Marc Marquez? Well, at the moment, is how does he solve a problem like Marc and Alex Marquez? Because this is going to be yet another Grand Prix where he's going to be second best to Alex as well. And that was not really in the pre-season script, was it?
No, he'll be grateful of the points, I'm sure. Of course, the World Championship situation will improve for Pecco Bagnaia, although he'll stay in third place, 16 points. Of course, with Marc Marquez currently in 13th place, Bagnaia would be 18 points behind Marc Marquez, who in turn would be 2 points behind Alex Marquez. One more lap to go, and this is the scenario that Alex Marquez must have dreamt of as a little boy when he came here through the gates to watch the Spanish Grand Prix as a child. Made his Grand Prix debut here over a decade ago. The biggest 90 seconds of Alex Marquez's life start now.
He is on the biggest 4.4 kilometres of his Grand Prix career. It is just what now, less than 10 corners standing between Alex Marquez and the biggest day, one of the biggest days of his Grand Prix career. Do you feel that he is your rider of the race? Vote now with the QR code in the bottom right corner of your screens. Quartararo, can he cling on to this second place? Alex Marquez hard on the brakes into turn 6 where it nearly all turned to disaster on the first corner. A little bit out of shape on the brakes. Steady on, Alex. But I don't think we can take it more drama at the end of this Grand Prix. He now goes through into turn 7. Surely now Alex Marquez will be victorious. He will reign in Spain in 2025.
Saw his father Julio Marquez in the box. We now look at him. He can barely watch. He's getting such a huge cheer. There's so many of them have come to Jerez this afternoon looking for Marc Marquez to take victory. Today though, Alex, this looks like being your day.
He's already punching the air in delight. The big fist wave to the crowd who are on their feet, making the biggest noise you've heard in Jerez for many a decade. He now comes through the Crivier corner. One corner left and now for Alex Marquez. If there was a roof on Jerez, it would be about to be lifted off, because out of the final corner comes in number 73. And finally we can say Alex Marquez is a MotoGP winner. He does reign in Spain here in Jerez in a truly dramatic Spanish Grand Prix. Pecco Bagnaia is able to take second place from the utterly brilliant Fabio Quartararo. Quartararo on the podium for the first time in 30 Grand Prix. Bagnaia third. Vinales leads the KTM Challenge in fourth place. That's Carlos Alcaraz, the Chinese superstar, waving the checkered flag. Del Antonio fifth. Marc Marquez does return to 12th place after his early crash at turn 8. There's going to be some incredible, special, emotional celebrations now. Alex, your race winner in Spain. Surely he's going to be congratulated very, very soon by Marc. What a Spanish Grand Prix. MotoGP at its very, very best. And we have a first-time winner. The tears are already flowing inside that Gresini racing garage as Alex Marquez becomes the 36th different race winner in MotoGP. His first victory since the Czech Republic round in Brno in Moto2 back in 2019. The 122nd rider to take victory in the Premier class. Just look what he means. There is his mother Rosa.